Jason vs. Ash vs. Freddy, the crazy crossover story, explained in detail. We often wonder how our favourite characters from popular horror flicks would interact with each other. The very idea of horror movie crossovers or iconic villains and heroes are pitted against one another is quite overwhelming. A good crossover has always yielded good results at the box office. And over the years, there have been several instances where this happened. Way back in 2003, we had the legendary horror villain Freddy Kreuger facing Jason Vorhees in Freddy vs. Jason.
Welcome to my nightmare.
That movie was a decent effort and quite a commercial success. Fans always have the craziest crossover stories in mind, but most of them never actually materialize. One such idea that was crafted to cater to the taste of the fans was Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash. It was a 6-issue comic book series that was published by Wildstorm and Dynamite Entertainment. The narrative is somewhat of a sequel to Freddy vs. Jason, and also the Evil Dead trilogy, because it brings the battle-scarred hero Ash into the mix of things.
Come to Papa.
This was followed by a sequel, titled Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, The Nightmare Warriors, which was another 6-issue miniseries. In this video, we will tell you all you need to know about the movie version that never came to be, and take you into the deep, dark world of the comic book itself.
Before we go into our list, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click from you, but it means a lot to us. Thank you. Let's begin.
How Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash panned out. Freddy vs. Jason had a somewhat ambiguous ending, but it did leave room for a sequel. With the box office success of the movie, there were plans to go ahead with the storyline of the comic sequel. For decades, fans were teased with the chance to see the worlds of Evil Dead and Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th come together. Many believe that the concept was conceived after Freddy vs. Jason, but it actually has its roots in the 80s. Let us take you back to 1987 with Evil Dead 2, the film that made the franchise a lot more fun.
Groovy.
In this flick, there is a scene where you can see Freddy Kreuger's iconic set of gloves in the background in a shed. It might have been just a sneak peek into the possibilities of collaborations, but this was clearly a self-aware reference, and it's further confirmed in Jason Goes to Hell: The Final Friday. While this is clearly not the greatest film in the franchise, or the final one, it does shed some light on the union of the worlds of the mighty villains. There is enough in this movie to connect Jason to the Necronomicon from the Evil Dead films. You surely remember that unforgettable moment where Freddy's glove appears from the underworld and grabs Jason's mask before disappearing back. Another significant development was the confirmation that Jason was in fact a Deadite from the Evil Dead films. The director of Jason Goes to Hell confirmed later that Jason was connected to the Evil Dead series. According to him, Pamela Voorhees had struck a deal with the devil by reading from the Necronomicon just to bring back her crazy son. Even Sam Raimi, the Evil Dead Helmer, was a fan of this unique idea. However, New Line Cinema was not on board when it came to the inclusion of Evil Dead because they did not have the rights. After a brief hiatus following Jason Goes to Hell, Freddy vs. Jason brought back the lost spark in the series, and it would have been more exciting to have the concept of Freddy, Jason and Ash come together in a murderous combination. The idea, however, did not have the greatest of starts. One of the major problems stemmed from the fact that New Line Cinema had the rights to Friday the 13th and A Nightmare on Elm Street, but not the Evil Dead. Although a notable producer, Jeff Katz, did try to make things work, it appeared that the creators of these iconic franchises had their own big ideas for the characters. A compromise was difficult, and they could never agree upon a fixed conclusion.
Back where you belong.
Later, Bruce Campbell, the man who played the role of Ash, elaborated on the uncomfortable meetings that were held over the proposed crossover. For instance, when New Line Cinema approached the Evil Dead guys, the latter was keen to have Ash kill both Freddy and Jason. The creators of Freddy and Jason were immediately disgruntled, and the idea fell apart before it managed to even materialize. This is what prompted Jeff Katz to give it up and go for the epic comic book series. Too many creative minds coming together is not always very fruitful, it seems. The Crazy comic book series. The first comics were released in November 2007 and ran until March 2008. It was created by James Couric and Jason Craig, and the plot is premised 5 years after the events of Freddy vs. Jason. We see that the town of Crystal Lake has been renamed Forest Green, and a new S-Mart shopping store has opened up. There has been a lot of effort to eliminate the terrible history of the place, but can evil ever be forgotten? It's the Christmas season, and the town is trying its best to shed off the horrible reputation that has been in place for decades. We also see Will Rollins and Laurie Campbell driving back to Camp Crystal Lake for some closure. As you know, they were the survivors in Freddy vs. Jason, but the experience has left them scarred. They split up to explore the scene to confirm that both Jason and Freddy are dead, also to offer themselves the emotional comfort that they both need. However, things go horribly wrong from here. Laurie finds out that Will has been ripped open by Jason, and later, even Laurie gets a machete to her face. Jason then carries their mutilated corpses to his mother's abode in the middle of the woods. Here, you can see the severed heads of Freddy Kreuger and Pamela Voorhees. Ever since Freddy was defeated in Freddy vs. Jason, he has been trapped inside Jason's subconscious and has the ability to manipulate him. He learns that the Book of the Dead, the Necronomicon Ex Mortis, is there in the old Voorhees home and appears before Jason as Pamela Voorhees' lover. He asks Jason to get the book back for him and promises that he can be the normal boy that he always wanted to be if he obeys. Jason heads to his old home, but he finds out the involvement of the Necronomicon has brought another iconic horror legend, Ash Williams, who is working as the housewire's domestic engineer in S-Mart. He wants to destroy the notorious book permanently. We see him walking into the store and being greeted by the manager, who explains the work that he needs to complete by Christmas. Before entering, Ash was hitting on 3 young ladies, and Jason had observed the same from his hiding spot. The moment he gets his chance, he hacks the 3 girls to death, but is seen by an old woman nearby. She screams in terror and Ash rushes out to help. The elderly lady is seemingly in shock. All that she manages to blurt out is the word Jason. The police arrive on the scene and leave after the formalities. In the meantime, Ash tries to interest some young teenagers with stories of his deadite hunting days, but his experiences are laughed at by the young guns, who think him to be some kind of crazy old man. One of the teenagers, named Caroline, however, is rather curious about the deadites. When she narrates the legend of Jason Vorhees, Ash is shocked to find the possibility that Jason might be a member of the undead species after all. He believes that Jason possesses the Necronomicon, and the sheer possibility of dangers when the book is in the wrong hands is scary enough. On the other hand, Jason is seen on a journey towards his old house. He comes across a group of carolers, and it doesn't take him long to hack and slash through them. Ash is working in the mall, and just as his shift is about to end, a beautiful girl named Bree gets a lot of stuff, because she and her friends plan to spend the night at the old Voorhees house. The town is about to take down the house the following day, and the group leaves with all of their stuff in the excitement of their upcoming adventure. Little do they know that Jason is watching every step closely. Just as they head into the cabin, Jason slays them all, leaving Bree as the only survivor. All this while Ash, who had followed them into the place, finds the book in the basement. The commotion upstairs gets his attention, and he arrives to find a shaken up Bree. Suddenly Jason strikes, and they manage to escape with Jason in pursuit. Caroline, the young teenager who told Ash about Jason, rescues them, and it seems like she had followed Ash into the house. They head back to the S-Mart because Ash wants to have a chance to decipher the mysteries of the Necronomicon. They need an urgent plan to follow and stop the mayhem. Freddy is not impressed by Jason's failure in retrieving the book. He quickly scans through his memory and finds the S-Mart name tag on Ash. He orders Jason to head to the S-Mart and retrieve the Necronomicon by all means. As Caroline, Ash and Bree walk into the store, Jason follows them, and chaos ensues. He starts slaughtering the innocent customers and staff, and the killing machine is confronted when Ash shows up with a shotgun and chainsaw. They engage in an intense but brief battle, and Ash is thrown through the wall by the mighty Jason. Caroline tries in vain to help him out, and Bree, who is already unstable from all the trauma, is discarded as well. She grabs the Necronomicon, but Jason kills her and gains possession of the text. Jason heads back to the old location, and Freddy's severed head is turned towards the book. He deciphers the resurrection spell in no time, and now Freddy can exist in reality as well. He tries to leave the scene, but Jason stops him. Freddy remembers his promise and uses the book to grant Jason some intelligence as well. The only thing deadlier than Jason is an intelligent Jason. Ash regroups with Caroline and the surviving teens, and they make a plan to retrieve the Necronomicon. They decide to get some sleep first, but that doesn't seem like a great idea when Freddy is on the loose. Suddenly, Ash finds himself in the cabin from the first Evil Dead, with one of his hands mutated by Freddy's blades. He finds the chainsaw in the shed and hacks off the Freddy-infected hand. Just as he feels great about defeating the Deadites, he realizes that all of this has happened before, and he must be in a dream. As realization dawns on him, Freddy appears and states that the Necronomicon is all his for eternity. Ash manages to wake up using the hot shotgun barrel, but he's too late because one of the kids has been murdered by Freddy. He seems happy about his recent kill and invades Jason's subconscious one more time. This time, he orders Jason to finish off Ash for good. Meanwhile, Ash and the surviving teenagers are planning to get the book back. Ash is certain that there should be something in the Necronomicon that can return both Freddy and Jason. Ash heads back to the old Voorhees house, and the kids stay outside to try and lure Jason out of his hiding. Unfortunately, because Jason is smarter, he does not fall into the trap. Ash locates the Necronomicon in the basement once again. Just as he is about to pick it up, Kreuger stabs him. We learn that Freddy has learned enough from the Book of the Dead to alter reality, and has used this knowledge to confuse Ash. Ash makes a desperate attempt to escape, but Freddy brings the claws from his dream to bring him down. Jason feels like something is amiss, and he runs in to stop Freddy. However, Kreuger is now too powerful, and he summons the spirits of Jason's victims who attack him instantly. He even uses one of his dismembered hands to slam the machete into Jason. The latter falls to the floor, visibly weakened from all of these attacks. Freddy decides to turn his attention to Ash, but he's surprised to learn that Ash and the Necronomicon are missing from the scene. An enraged Freddy uses his power to alter reality once again and make Ash's memories recreate the Deadite forces. However, Ash is prepared with his chainsaw to free himself from the attack. He meets Caroline, who seems to be the only one to have survived Jason's earlier assault. They find out that the Necronomicon can open a portal that will be able to send Jason and Freddy back into the Deadite realm forever. Pamela Voorhees appears to be using the book to resurrect her dead son, and time is running out for them. Freddy's face appears amidst the clouds, and Ash and Caroline once again run into the Voorhees home. But to their surprise, the house has been changed into the notorious house on Elm Street. There are 3 girls who are singing the fateful Freddy Kreuger nursery rhyme, and just as Caroline tries to warn them, demonized children attack. Ash is tied down by the kids and Caroline is taken by Freddy. But Ash makes good use of his chainsaw one more time and goes on to save Caroline, who is now being threatened by Freddy to hand over the Necronomicon. Suddenly, Jason arrives at the scene, and although Freddy manages to subdue him once again, it buys Caroline precious time. She reads through the words that can help in opening the portal. Jason attempts to snatch the book from her, but his victory is short-lived because Ash arrives and blasts his head off with the shotgun and then uses the chainsaw to hack off Jason's hand. The Necronomicon is freed and Caroline runs off with it, but Jason is far from dead. As Jason and Ash square off, even an injured Jason proves to be a handful, and he throws Ash out of the window. It now becomes a battle between the 2 evil forces, as Freddy and Jason engage in an intense tussle. The house collapses on them, and Caroline tries to wake up an unconscious Ash desperately. We see Freddy emerging from the rubble, and Caroline is forced to make a run for it. She hides in a fishing shack with the Necronomicon, and Freddy is furious as his book has been taken. He destroys the neighbouring shacks, and eventually Caroline's location is revealed. He gains possession of the book once again, but it's only for a while because Jason attacks him one more time. Freddy defeats a weakened Jason, but just as we think he's the victor, Ash runs him over with a car. He single-handedly takes on the 2 villains, and Caroline manages to open the portal to the dimension of the Deadites. everything near Crystal Lake is sucked up by a giant vortex overhead, and Ash and Caroline cling on for dear life. Freddy is drawn into the gateway, but Jason seems unfazed by its pull. Just as he is about to strike Ash, his car slams into him, and he is left in the icy waters of the lake. Freddy makes one last attempt to use the Necronomicon and reverse the spell, but it doesn't work out and he disappears. In the end, we see the portal open briefly and drop the Necronomicon on Crystal Lake. We are shocked to see underneath the ice where Jason suddenly opens his eyes. Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, The Nightmare Warriors. This 6-issue comic series serves as a sequel to Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash, and was written by Jeff Katz and James Couric. The narrative picks up from where the last one left off, and we see a team of government agents scouting Lake Crystal for the Necronomicon. They plan to use the Book of the Dead for a secret project called Project Black Book, the team being led by Gordon Russell. Russell finds the book and leaves the scene with it while the remaining agents try to retrieve the frozen body of Jason Vorhees from the lake. But Jason awakens from his frozen state and kills them all. Freddy Kreuger is once again up to his evil tricks, and he poses as Jason's mother to make him leave Crystal Lake and look for Ash Williams. Ash is trying to get over the trauma of his experiences, and he lives in Michigan with his girlfriend Caroline. We see him preparing to host a barbecue when Dr. Maggie Burroughs meets him and tries to convince him to join her group of people who have fought some form of a natural evil and survived. Ash is irritated by the same old topics and sends her away. He goes to the store, trying to stock up for the backyard party that he's hosting. Caroline is left alone in the house, giving Jason the perfect opportunity to kill her. Elsewhere, we see Alice and Stephanie getting strange visions of Freddy and Jason. The scene moves to the Pentagon, where Russell is planning to summon an army of demonic soldiers via the Necronomicon. Ash arrives to find Caroline's body, and he tries to run away, completely unaware that a man in a Hummer is spying on him. Russell makes good use of the Necronomicon and brings a powerful form of Freddy Kreuger from the Deadites realm into the Earth. As Ash tries to trace Maggie and her group, Jason follows him, attacking the gathering. Ash tries to put up a fight, but the man in the Hummer mows down Jason, and we learn that this mysterious chap is Tommy Jarvis from Friday the 13th. Government forces arrive at the house, and Jason is taken down with missiles and bullets. The survivors are now holed up in a motel, and Maggie, whose father is Russell, wants to help him in using the Necronomicon to defeat the vicious killers. Tommy does not agree with the idea, and he goes solo. In the meantime, Jason has been locked in a cell with the Deadites, and Freddy pays him a visit mentally. He proposes an offer, where they can team up to rule the world, and Jason agrees when he learns that his arch enemy, Tommy, is also there. Following the agreement, Freddy restores Jason's decomposed body and makes him the general of the Deadite army. When Russell and Maggie visit Freddy, he reveals that he can still go back to his demonic form. Russell tries to attack Freddy, but Maggie steps in and kills him. A shocking revelation is made wherein we learn that Maggie is actually Freddy Kreuger's daughter. Jason descends on the streets of Washington with his Deadite army, and Tommy faces off against him. Some powerful winged Deadites attack him as he tries to open fire, and he is taken to Freddy. Freddy manages to defeat them all temporarily and addresses the nation dressed as the president. Ash and his gang watch the broadcast where Freddy reveals his sinister plans for the world. They load up on weapons and head for the White House for a final showdown. Stephanie impales her uncle with a machete, and Tommy cuts off Jason's head with glass. Freddy uses Jason's soul to magnify his powers. But eventually, he is brought down as Neil reads from the passage of the Necronomicon that can banish him. The portal is opened once again, and even the Necronomicon declares Freddy to be unworthy and strips him of his powers. Ash blasts him into the realm, and we can see Mrs. Voorhees' voice stating that Jason can never die. Future possibility of a live-action movie. How we love to cheer you up in this section with some wild possibilities of a movie. But alas, we have nothing great to share for this one. As of now, there seems to be nothing going on to suggest that someone is taking the idea seriously to make it into a live-action adaptation. However, just the thought of it is a mouth-watering prospect for horror fans, and it's rather unfortunate that such a brilliant idea is currently restricted to comic books only.
This is all the time we had for today's episode. We hope you guys liked it. It would be awesome if you guys can take some time to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to tell us which topic you want us to cover in the comment section. Have a fantastic day ahead and stay safe.